The wind moved slowly across the dry land, lifting dust from the road like a warning. Amelia tightened her arms around her son Eli, feeling his small body tremble against her chest. She could feel his heartbeat, fast and frightened, matching her own. She had raised him alone since the day his father was taken by the fever, buried under the same wide sky that now felt too empty, too unforgiving. They had been traveling for hours in the old carriage, hoping to pass through the ranch lands before sunset, hoping not to draw attention, hoping for mercy in a world that rarely offered it. Eli shifted, his small hand slipping from her sleeve, and before she could stop him, he stumbled forward, his foot catching on a loose stone. The sound echoed louder than it should have, the sharp clatter of metal as he knocked over a bucket resting near the fence line. The sound carried across the open land, straight to the man standing there. The rancher was enormous, not just tall but broad, solid, carved by years of sun and labor. His black coat hung heavy from his shoulders, his hat casting a shadow that hid most of his face. Stories about him traveled faster than the wind. Some said he was cruel. Some said he was merciless. Others said he had buried more men than the drought ever had. Amelia's breath caught in her throat as he turned slowly toward them. Eli froze. His eyes widened, his lip trembling as he realized what he had done. Amelia felt the fear rise like fire in her chest. She stepped forward immediately, placing herself between her son and the rancher, her hands shaking but her voice steady as she forced it to be. "I'm sorry," she said, the words falling fast, desperate. "Please forgive him. He's just a child. He didn't mean to. He didn't see the bucket. We'll fix it. We'll pay somehow, please." Her pride burned as she lowered her head, but she didn't care. Pride had no place when your child's safety was at stake. Eli clutched her dress, his face buried against her side, whispering her name. The rancher didn't speak at first. He simply stood there, watching. The silence stretched painfully, each second heavier than the last. Amelia's mind raced with everything she had heard, every warning, every whispered rumor. She braced herself for anger, for punishment, for loss. Then the rancher smiled. It wasn't the kind of smile people expected from a man like him. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't mocking. It was slow and calm, almost gentle, like a sunrise breaking through a long night. He took off his hat, revealing a weathered face marked by time and sorrow rather than rage. His eyes, dark and deep, softened as they settled on Eli. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, steady, and unexpectedly warm. "You don't need to apologize," he said. "Buckets can be replaced. Children cannot." Amelia felt her knees weaken, relief crashing over her so suddenly it nearly took her breath away. She hadn't realized how tightly she'd been holding her breath until that moment. Eli peeked out from behind her, confusion mixing with fear. The rancher crouched slightly, lowering himself to the child's level despite his size. "You all right, son?" he asked. Eli nodded slowly, still unsure. Amelia watched closely, ready to pull her child back if needed. But something in the rancher's presence had shifted. The land felt quieter, safer. He stood again and gestured toward the fence. "Come," he said. "You both look like you've traveled far. There's water inside, and food if you're hungry." Amelia hesitated. Trust didn't come easily anymore, but hunger and exhaustion spoke louder than fear. She nodded, whispering a thank you that carried more emotion than words could hold. As they walked beside him, Amelia noticed the details she had never expected. The careful way he avoided startling Eli, the way he slowed his steps to match theirs. The ranch wasn't just land and cattle, it was order, care, and quiet strength. Inside the main house, the air was cool. He poured water, placing the cup gently into Eli's hands first, then Amelia's. She watched him closely, searching for hidden intent, but all she saw was kindness wrapped in strength. When he asked where they were headed, her voice caught. "Anywhere safe," she said honestly. "Anywhere my son can grow without fear." The rancher nodded slowly, as if those words struck something deep within him. His smile faded, replaced by a look of understanding that suggested he knew that pain well. Outside, the sun dipped lower, painting the land in gold and shadow. Amelia didn't know it yet, but this moment, the apology, the smile, the silence, was the beginning of something far greater than either of them could imagine. And if you're feeling the weight of this story already, stay with us because what comes next will change everything. Don't forget to subscribe, because stories like this remind us that kindness still lives in unexpected places. That night, the wind sang softly across the ranch, carrying stories of the past through the open fields. Amelia sat on the edge of the bed the rancher had offered them, watching Eli sleep peacefully for the first time in days. His small chest rose and fell steadily, free from the nightmares that had followed them since they left home. She hadn't expected rest here. She hadn't expected safety, yet here it was, quietly wrapping itself around them. Down the hall she could hear the rancher moving, his heavy steps slow and deliberate, as if even the walls listened when he passed. She wondered about him, about the weight behind his smile, about the life that had shaped a man so feared yet so gentle. The next morning Amelia woke early, instinctively ready to leave before becoming a burden. She gathered their few belongings, careful not to wake Eli, but when she stepped outside, she found the rancher already awake, repairing a broken fence under the rising sun. He looked over his shoulder and smiled again, the same calm expression from the day before. "You're welcome to stay longer," he said, as if reading her thoughts. "No rush." She hesitated, then spoke softly. "Why?" The question escaped before she could stop it. "Why help us?" He paused, resting his hands on the fence post. "Because once," he said slowly, "someone apologized to me for something that wasn't their fault. And I didn't smile back. I've carried that regret longer than I've carried any scar." Amelia listened, feeling the truth in his words. He didn't explain further, and she didn't ask. Some stories reveal themselves in time. Days passed. Then weeks. Amelia helped where she could, cooking, cleaning, tending small tasks. Eli laughed again, his fear replaced with curiosity as he followed the rancher like a shadow. The giant rancher taught him how to care for animals, how to respect the land, how strength meant protecting, not intimidating. Amelia watched their bond grow, her heart full and aching at the same time. One evening, as the sun burned red against the horizon, she finally apologized again. "For staying," she said quietly. The rancher chuckled softly. "You apologized once," he replied. That was enough. Sometimes all people need is one moment of grace. When the time came for Amelia and Eli to leave, the rancher walked them to the road. He handed Amelia a small pouch of coins and supplies, refusing her protests. "This isn't charity," he said. "It's belief." Amelia's eyes filled with tears as she thanked him, her voice breaking. Eli hugged him tightly, his small arms barely reaching around the giant's waist. The rancher smiled down at him and said words that would stay with Amelia forever. "Never be afraid to say sorry," he told the boy, "and never be afraid to forgive." As the carriage rolled away, Amelia looked back one last time. The rancher stood tall against the vast land, no longer a figure of fear but one of quiet hope. She realized then that kindness doesn't always roar. Sometimes it smiles softly when you least expect it. And if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that humanity still exists even in harsh places, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Stories like these are more than entertainment. They're reminders that one apology, one smile can change a life forever.